I'm very impressed that the two principal films made of my novels by Spielberg and by Cronenberg are both by people, by directors who began in the science fiction field, like myself. Spielberg began with, you know, Duel, then Jaws, Close Encounters, E.T. These are science fiction films. Likewise, Cronenberg began making films like Shivers and so on. He began making a different kind of science, a sort of biological fantasies in his early films. But again, they're films inspired by science fiction. Not science fiction, but inspired by science fiction. And that's, I think, true of my own writing. I didn't really write science fiction, but I was inspired by science fiction, which is slightly different. I was also inspired by the surrealists, and I think Cronenberg was also very influenced by the surrealist painters. And I think Spielberg, Cronenberg, and myself are all writing about psychological disconnection, So I was very lucky to have two great directors. Even though they're very different, they're similar in many ways. I've always been interested in art, of all kinds. I used to, when I was, a student, I used to go to the National Gallery in London and look at the paintings of the Renaissance. When I went on holiday in Italy in particular, in France and Italy, I would always go to the museums and look at the old masters. They've always been a big inspiration. And of course, as far as 20th century painting is concerned, I've always loved the surrealists in particular. I'm interested in, many of the movements of the 20th century. I love pop art, Andy Warhol, and the other pop artists I'm fascinated by. They're making an art out of the consumer world, an art out of soup cans and Coca-Cola bottles. Warhol made an art out of newspaper photographs. I'm also interested in the young British artists today, who, people like Damien Hirst and Tracy Emin, I think are interesting in that they're trying to say something about reality, we're living in a world completely dominated by advertising. Everything is packaged nowadays. Everything is designed, wrapped, prepared. Thousands of people are thinking, what will make people buy? Because we're living in a world where everything is commercialized. Relationships are commercialized. People redesign their homes like as if they want to impress their friends, and they redesign their homes like advertising campaigns. You think they were trying to sell their homes. Everything is commercialized. And what Damien Hirst, who has this pickled shark and a sheep and a cow cut in two, what he's doing, and what Emin, who has a famous bed, what they're doing is trying to reclaim reality. Hirst is saying, this is a body. This is death. Emin is saying, this is a bed with all the mess that a young woman has in her bed. They're trying to sort of take reality back from the advertising people. So they're interesting too. I'm sorry to say that I don't think there are many pop icons today. We have celebrities today, but they are manufactured. You know, they're not real. I don't know if we have any real pop icons today. I mean, I grew up when the Hollywood studio system was still dominant back in the 40s, 50s, 60s. Before television in many ways. And under the old studio system, and this applied to Italian film, French film, British film, we had big stars. And these stars were literally heavenly creatures. We saw them from afar, sitting in the cinemas, their huge silver faces on the screen. And we were full of admiration. They were our gods. You know, Marilyn Monroe, Clark Gable, Gary Cooper. These were big, you know, Gina Lollobrigida, you know, Brigitte Bardot. These were these were stars. They had mystery. They had glamour. And they were remote. Now we have celebrities whom we see on the TV screen very close up. All they are is famous for being famous. I think we are living in unheroic times, non-heroic times. There are no heroes. We're living in the age of the common man, and we're living in the age of the common hero. Football, you know, David Beckham, footballer. Someone who appears on some TV game show becomes a hero for 5 minutes. You know, Andy Warhol said, in the future, everyone will be famous for 15 minutes. It's already happened. There are no iconic figures today. I wish there were. I would write about them. But I don't think there is anyone. I think Princess Di was the last iconic figure, and she died in a car crash in a big Mercedes in a Paris underpass. She died the classical, iconic death, the death in the car crash. She's the last one. I think people vote for someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's now the governor of California. In a way, it's a joke. People know it's a joke. People don't take politics seriously anymore. Politics is a game. Actually, it's a serious game, but people see it as a game. It doesn't matter who is governor. It doesn't matter who is president. You know, here we have Tony Blair, who, you know, he took us to war in Iraq for the wrong reasons. People feel they were misled, badly misled by Tony Blair. People regard reality, everyday reality, the media landscape, as a huge game. You know, it's a boring game often. Am I an extremist writer? Yes. I like to think, I hope I am. I hope I'm a writer who asks people to look again at everything in their daily lives. I mean, some of my fiction has been very extreme. Crash is a terrorist novel in many ways. It's like a bomb thrown into a cafe. I see the writer's job to change the world if he can, a little bit. Hopeless idea, but it's worth trying.